Mira was not like other teenagers. While others played games or watched videos, she loved old books. She liked the smell of pages, the sound of flipping them, and the feeling of holding a forgotten story in her hands. That's why, one quiet afternoon, she found herself walking toward the oldest building in her city. The old city library. It had been closed for years. People said it was unsafe. Some said it was haunted. But Mira didn't believe in ghosts. She believed in secrets. And she was about to discover the biggest one of all. The large wooden doors were locked, but one of the side windows was broken. Mira climbed in carefully. Dust filled the air. The sun peeked through broken windows. Long shelves stood like silent guards, watching her every move. Mira walked between the shelves, running her fingers along cracked leather covers. Most books were too old to touch. Many had fallen apart. But in the center of the library, on a stone pedestal, one book stood alone. It had a strange symbol on its cover, a circle with wings and fire. She reached out and opened it. To her surprise, the pages were not blank or broken. They were full of strange writing, not in English, but somehow she understood the words. Her eyes widened as she began to read. To the one who dares to read, open the path of the forgotten. Speak the truth of fire and awaken the watcher. As soon as she read those words aloud, the ground shook. Books fell from shelves. A low rumble echoed through the building. Then she saw it. A part of the floor near the back wall started to move. A circle of stone slowly turned, revealing a hidden staircase leading underground. Mira hesitated. Her heart was beating fast. But her curiosity was stronger than her fear. Step by step she went down. The air grew cold. The light from above faded. But there was a soft glow coming from the walls, lines of gold that pulsed like veins. At the bottom, Mira entered a massive underground chamber. It looked like a temple, but older, ancient. In the center of the room was a huge figure, lying still. It looked like a dragon, made of stone, with wings folded and long horns curling back. She couldn't believe her eyes. It had to be a statue. Dragons weren't real, right? She walked closer. The book was still in her hand. Without thinking, she began reading again. From the time before time, when stars were young and fire had memory. A sound echoed through the cave. A deep, slow breath. Mira stepped back. Cracks appeared on the dragon's body. Its stone skin started to fall away, like old armor. Underneath was dark, shimmering scale alive. The dragon's eyes opened, glowing like twin suns. Then it spoke. Who reads the language of the first race? The voice was deep and ancient. Mira froze. She couldn't run. She couldn't speak. The dragon slowly lifted its head and looked at her. Not with anger, but with curiosity. You carry the book of legends, it said. After all these centuries, a human speaks again. I just found it, Mira stammered. I didn't mean to wake you. You did not wake me by accident, the dragon replied. You were chosen, or perhaps the stories chose you. Mira was shaking, but her eyes were full of wonder. Who are you? The dragon paused. Then said, I am Zarok, keeper of memory. I watched Earth before humans knew fire. I remember the first dream your kind ever had. And now, you are here. The stories return. Mira could barely believe. A real dragon, talking to her. Telling her he knew about Earth's past. But, how do you know about us? She asked. The dragon leaned closer. Because your stories are part of the stars. And I am their historian. Mira felt the weight of those words. She looked down at the book. It was glowing now. You must continue reading, Zarok said. Not just for me. For Earth, for the truth you've all forgotten. Then the ground trembled again. A symbol lit up beneath the dragon, a glowing map of the stars. Earth was at the center. Mira stared in shock. She had come looking for a story, but she had found a forgotten history. *. The The stars moved, not in the sky but under Myra's feet. She stood in the dark underground chamber, where the giant dragon named Zaruk had just awoken. A glowing map had appeared beneath her: stars, planets, swirling galaxies. Earth sat at the center, but it looked different. It had golden rings around it, like a crown. She blinked. "What is this?" The dragon's deep voice echoed gently through the chamber. "This is not the sky, you know. This is the sky from long ago, before your people forgot who they were." Mira stared at him. "Forgot? What do you mean?" Zaruk lowered his massive head. His glowing eyes held both kindness and sorrow. "Long before your cities, before your electricity, before even your first fire, humans were already known across the stars. Your kind walked on other worlds, told stories to beings made of gas and light. You were not small, Mira. You were giants." She felt cold all over. This wasn't just some bedtime story. She pointed at the stars beneath her. "But we never had spaceships. We never even went past the moon." Zaruk's eyes narrowed. "That's what you've been told, what you remember. But memory can be broken." The chamber fell quiet. Dust floated in the air like tiny planets. Mira slowly sat down on a stone bench, the glowing book still in her hands. "But why would we forget something so big?" The dragon looked away for a long moment. Then he said, "Because someone wanted you to." That sentence hung in the air like a storm cloud. Mira's voice was a whisper. "Who?" Zaruk stood slowly. His wings unfolded, stretching across the chamber, but they didn't flap. Instead, they shimmered like screens. Thousands of small glowing images appeared. Ancient temples, machines floating in space, humans talking with alien creatures. There were others, races older than yours. Some feared you, some loved you, but one saw you as a threat. Mira's heart beat faster. "A threat?" The dragon nodded. "Humans could do something no other species could. You turned pain into music. You turned death into poems. You made meaning out of chaos. You were not the strongest or smartest, but you had something." "Deeper?" Mira asked. "Our stories?" The dragon's smile was sad. "Yes, that's why I was sent here. To listen, to learn, to protect what would one day be forgotten." She looked at the book. "So that's why you woke up when I read Earth's legends?" Zaruk nodded. Only a true human voice could unlock the vault of memory. Then something unexpected happened. The book in her hands flipped its own pages fast. A page lit up with golden fire. A new story appeared. Mira leaned in and read aloud. "The last flight of the sky builders." As she read, images appeared in the air. A giant spaceship made of stone and light. Humans in long robes standing beside strange creatures. The ship launched into space and vanished into darkness. Mira stopped. "Wait, this is history? Not a story?" Zaruk answered. "In your world, they became legends, but to mine, they were news." She looked up. "So you're not just a dragon, you're like an alien?" Zaruk gave a deep chuckle. "I am more than that. I am a recorder, a keeper. I am a galactic historian." Mira stood still. Her mind was spinning. This was too big, too strange, but also too real. She walked toward the glowing star map. One star blinked red. She pointed at it. "What's that?" The dragon's face turned serious. "That star is awake, and it's watching Earth again." Mira felt a chill run down her spine. "Is it dangerous?" The dragon did not answer. At first. Then he said quietly, "If they know you are remembering, they may return to make you forget again." Mira looked at the book in her hands. The pages were still glowing. "So what do we do?" Zaruk lowered his head beside her. "We read, we remember, we prepare." As the camera pans out, we see Mira and the great dragon standing side by side in the glowing cave. One girl, one ancient historian. Together, they would uncover the Truth hidden in Earth's own forgotten stories. And somewhere in the stars, something began to move. It was not a dream. When Mira woke the next morning, the glowing book still lay beside her. Its warmth pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. The dragon's deep voice echoed in her mind, even though she was now back in her room. Our single quotes are okay was real. Underground chamber, the moving star map. The stories, all of it had happened. But what haunted her most was that one blinking red star. Something in space was watching Earth. Later that day, Mira returned to the old library. The city still ignored it, just a forgotten building, like Earth's forgotten past. She entered through the broken window again, holding the book close to her chest. This time, the path opened without her speaking. The hidden staircase revealed itself, as if the place already knew her now. When she reached the dragon's chamber, Zarok was waiting, his eyes glowing brighter than before. "You came back," he said. Mira nodded. "I couldn't stop thinking about it." She looked around at the cave walls. There were strange markings, glowing symbols, and ancient maps burned into the stone. "Is this place even on Earth?" she asked. Zarok chuckled softly. "Technically, yes. But it was built by those who saw Earth from the outside first." She tilted her head. "What do you mean?" The dragon spread one wing. A huge hologram appeared in the air, the solar system. But it looked different than the maps Mira had seen in school. There were extra moons, a large object near Saturn, and strange lines connecting planets like a web. "This," Zarok said, "is your star system as it once was, before the forgetting." Mira pointed. "What's that near Saturn?" The dragon's voice lowered. "That was once a human outpost, a floating archive, the rings of memory." Her jaw dropped. "We had space stations out there, a long time ago?" Zarok nodded. "Humans were once not just explorers. They were protectors of story. They believed every planet had a voice, and Earth was chosen to listen." Mira sat down on the smooth stone floor, staring at the glowing planets. "But what happened? Why don't we remember?" The dragon paused for a long moment. "There was a war," he finally said. "Not just of weapons, but of truth. A race called the Nyari feared human creativity. They believed imagination was dangerous because it gave birth to rebellion." Mira shivered. "They tried to erase us?" "No," Zarok said. "They tried to erase your stories. Because stories carry memory, and memory carries power." Mira clenched her fists. "That's why all these old legends on Earth feel broken. Like we're only hearing pieces." The dragon nodded. "Pieces, waiting to be remembered." Then the book opened by itself again. This time, a new story began to write itself across the page, glowing letters appearing one by one. Mira read aloud, "The song of the first flame." As she spoke, the air shimmered. The stars around her began to sing a soft, ancient melody that filled the room. She saw visions, early humans around alien fires, telling stories to creatures made of glass and wind. She saw children flying in machines made of light. She saw a golden library on Mars, filled with voices and songs. Tears formed in Mira's eyes. These are our stories," she whispered. "We were part of the galaxy once." Zarok spoke gently. "You still are. But the galaxy forgot you too, because you forgot yourselves first." She looked up. "Can we get it all back?" The dragon leaned closer. "Only if you are willing to do what your kind does best. Create, speak, write, share. The stars are listening again." Then, suddenly, the red star on the map blinked faster. Mira noticed. "It's changing." Zarok growled low. "They know you are remembering. The Nyari always feared a human voice rising again." Mira stood slowly, holding the book tighter. "Then let them hear me." The dragon's eyes burned brighter with pride. "Good, because your next story is not just about the past. It's about the war that's coming." Asterisk darkness. Not the kind that comes from the night sky, but the kind that lives in silence. After something precious has been lost, Zarok didn't speak for a long time. The red star on the map blinked steadily, like a warning signal from another time. Mira stood beside him, heart pounding. The cave felt colder now. Finally the dragon spoke. His voice was lower than before. There was once a time when Earth's name was spoken across galaxies. With respect, he moved his wings slowly. The star map shifted. Images appeared, shining cities floating in the air, humans working alongside alien races, children playing under twin suns. You were leaders. Not in war, but in wisdom. You shared your stories, your music, your dreams. Other species came to learn from you. The galaxy called Earth. The flame of thought. Mira listened, eyes wide. But what happened? Zarok's glowing eyes dimmed. They came, the Nayari. They were beings of perfect order. No feelings, no stories, only rules. The cave rumbled softly. Above them, the image changed. A fleet of sharp, dark ships moved through space like shadows. They feared what they could not control, and humans could never be controlled, so they decided to end the memory of Earth. Mira sat down slowly. They attacked? Zarok nodded once, not with bombs, with silence. He pointed his claw at one part of the map Mars. They destroyed the library of echoes, burned the song vaults, captured the dream speakers, and worst of all, they lit the fire that erased human minds. Mira looked confused. Erased, Zarok said. A weapon made from sound. It struck the human mind like thunder. People forgot, not just facts, but hope. The cave darkened further. Your kind fell. You went backward. From stars to soil, from stories to silence. Images showed humans returning to caves, frightened and confused. They looked at the sky as if it was a stranger. No one knew why, Mira whispered. We just forgot, Zarok nodded. That was their victory. Mira stood up. But you survived, you remembered. I was built to, the dragon replied. I was hidden deep inside Earth, in sleep, with one task. Protect the last vault of human stories. Wait for one voice to wake me. She looked at the book in her hands. Me, she said. You, Zarok agreed. Then he turned toward the wall behind him. With a soft breath of fire, he lit a hidden panel. A giant mural came to life, a scene carved in gold and stone. It showed 7 human figures standing before the stars, holding books, swords, and fire. Behind them stood Zarok, and above them, a wave of shadow coming from space. Mira gasped. This was a prophecy? No, the dragon said. It was a plan. He looked down at her. There is something inside you, Mira, something the Nayari feared. It is not power. It is not weapons. It is voice, imagination, story. He tapped the book gently with one claw. That's why they tried to burn it all. Because even in the ashes, humans can find a way to sin again. Mira felt something rise inside her, like heat, like light. Then we fight, she said softly. Zarok did not smile, but his eyes glowed brighter. You are not ready to fight. Not yet. First, you must remember more. Suddenly, the mural cracked open. A secret door. Beyond it was a long corridor filled with floating scrolls, glowing books, whispering statues. This is the Hall of Lost Flame, the dragon said. Each story here is a weapon, a truth, a key. Mira stepped forward. She wasn't just reading stories anymore. She was walking back into history. There was a story Mira once read as a child. A small tree growing between 2 stones, pushing upward toward the sun. The tree was not tall. Its leaves were not many, but it grew anyway. It survived storms, heat, even snow. She never forgot that. Story. Now, walking through the Hall of Lost Flame, she finally understood it. Humans were that tree. The corridor was filled with whispers, not voices, but memories. Each book, each scroll, held a piece of Earth's forgotten truth. Stories that once shaped empires, now floating in silence. Zarok followed beside her, his footsteps slow and heavy. These stories, he said, are not just history. They are what you could be again. Mira stopped in front of a glowing orb. It showed a young girl standing in front of a council of alien leaders. She wasn't using weapons. She was telling them a story. They were listening. Some were crying. She turned to the dragon. What is this? Zarok replied, that girl lived 1,000 years before your first cities. She convinced 3 galaxies to make peace with only her words. Mira looked closer. The girl looked ordinary. No armor. No magic. Just truth in her voice. That's what humans could do. She asked. The dragon's voice was gentle now. Yes, that's what made your kind powerful. You didn't conquer. You connected. Mira stared at the orb until it faded. So why do we think we're weak now? She asked. Zarok said nothing for a while. Then, because someone told you that story, again and again. Until you believed it. Mira clenched her fists. She thought of her school, her city, the news. Everyone saying Earth was small, broken, behind. Everyone trying to escape reality into screens, forgetting the stars. But we're not weak, she said softly. We just stopped telling the right stories. The dragon's eyes burned brighter. Exactly. He led her to the final chamber. There, carved into the wall, were 7 words. What is remembered can rise again. Below the carving stood a small stand. A blank book lay on it. Mira looked confused. What's this one about? Zarok stared at the book with great care. This one has never been written, because it's yours. My story? Your story, he confirmed. Your voice, your truth, your fight. She touched the book. It felt warm, alive. But I don't know enough, she whispered. You know more than you think, the dragon said. You still feel wonder. You still ask questions. You still care. That is the beginning of strength. Then the dragon stepped back. He spoke one final sentence, like a ritual. Write not what they told you to believe. Write what you are. Mira took a breath. Her fingers touched the first page, and words appeared. Not from memory. From her. She wrote about a girl who found a dragon, who learned that Earth was once a beacon. That stories were stronger than ships. That voices could travel farther than light. As the ink glowed, the air around her shimmered. Elsewhere, far in the stars, the Nayari ships paused. Something had changed. Earth had gone silent for thousands of years. Now, it was speaking again, and this time, the galaxy would listen. Some fires start with a spark. Others begin when someone remembers who they really are. And sometimes, fire returns when the silence ends. The first signal came at night. Mira was sitting on the roof of her house, the book open in her lap, writing. The stars above looked the same, but she felt something strange, like the sky was heavier. Like something was watching. Then the book pulsed, not softly, not gently. It burned hot in her hands. She dropped it with a gasp. The pages flipped on their own, faster than ever before, until they stopped on a glowing symbol, 3 sharp lines inside. A broken circle. She didn't recognize it, but Zarok did. From deep below the earth, his voice reached her through the open night air. They're here. Mira froze. The Nayari? The dragon's voice was calm, but firm. Not yet, but their eyes. They're machines. They're watchers. They have sensed your story. In the distance, something moved in the sky. A flicker. A ripple. No one else saw it. No one else even looked up. But Mira knew. The fire was returning. The next day, she returned to the secret chamber beneath the old library. Zarok was waiting, his wings stretched wide. On the walls behind him, thousands of tiny lights now blinked like stars waking up after a long sleep. You've done more than remember, he told her. You've woken the archive. The stories are alive again. Mira stared at the lights. Are they reacting to my writing? Yes, said Zaruk, because your voice has reached places Earth forgot. And not all of them are friendly. He turned his head. Come, it is time. He led Mira to a deeper part of the vault, a place she had never seen. The hallway was narrow, carved in black stone. It ended in a circular room, where a single object hovered in the center, a sphere. Made of flame and crystal, spinning slowly in the air. What is it? She asked. Zia Rock spoke carefully. It is called the Seed. It holds the last defense of Earth, but it cannot be used by memory alone. It must be activated by story, real story. One that burns from within. Mira walked closer. She saw her own reflection in the crystal surface. I don't understand. You will, the dragon said. Because the seed listens only to truth. Mira reached out. Her hand touched the flame, and it didn't burn. Instead, it sang. Images burst around her, ancient cities in orbit, human children drawing an alien. Sand, storytellers lighting up whole planets with voice alone. Then she saw the future dark ships entering the solar system. Cold silence. A shadow falling over Earth again. But now, something was different. This time, someone stood in the way. The seed sank into her chest like a spark finding home. She gasped and stepped back. A glow began to form beneath her skin, on her palms. Her chest, even behind her eyes. She felt heavier, older, stronger. The dragon's voice was soft now. You are more than a witness. You are the answer. Outside, in orbit, quiet machines belonging to the Nyari detected the change. A new signal. A new energy. Earth, once silent and broken, had rejoined the map. Mira stood tall, her heart beating like a war drum. What do I do now? She asked. Zia Rock lowered his head. You write. You speak. You remember, and then you ignite. In the sky above, clouds split apart for the first time in years. Not from rain. Not from storm. But from heat. Because the fire had returned. And Earth was no longer sleeping. Silence once tried to erase her world. Now her voice echoed through stars. Not through satellites, not through machines, but through something older story, burning with truth. Mira stood on the rooftop again. The city still slept below. People rushed to work, stared at screens, lived in forgetfulness. They didn't know that something ancient had awakened beneath their feet. They didn't know that a war older than their history was now returning. But Mira knew, and this time, Earth would not face it in silence. The seed pulsed within her, no longer hidden. She could feel it when she walked, when she spoke, even when she dreamed. The fire didn't burn her. It lit her. In the chamber below, Zaruk was waiting. His body was dimming now, like a candle nearing its end. He was ancient, older than cities, older than time, but he looked at Mira like she was just beginning. You are the last light, he said. Mira stepped forward. You said I had to write the final story. But how does a story stop a war? The dragon closed his eyes. Because stories shape belief. Belief shapes choice. And choice decides history. He pointed toward the star map, no longer glowing blue. Now it burned red. Ships were coming. Dozens, silent, cold. They were almost here. They want silence again, he said. But you must answer with a sound they can't erase. Mira opened the book. Her hands shook. Not from fear, from knowing this was the moment. She began to write, not history, not fantasy. But truth. She wrote of Earth, not as a broken place, but as a story that never stopped fighting to be heard. She wrote about children dreaming under city lights, about poems written in pain, songs born from loss, love found in ruins. She wrote the story only a human could write, one that did not ask for power, but offered understanding. Above Earth, the Nyari fleet paused. They had not expected resistance. They had not expected voice. From every screen, every speaker, every open device, her story spread. It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was human. And it reached them. In the chamber, Zaruk's body began to fade. His eyes met hers. One last time. "You've finished it," he said. "The story is yours now." "No," Myra said. "It's ours." The seed left her chest in a blaze of light. Rising like a sun. It exploded into the sky. Above clouds, above cities, above doubt. And it spoke, not in words. In memory. The Nyari ships turned. Some flickered, some vanished. One remained silent, then slowly moved away. They didn't win. They didn't lose. They listened. And then they left. The sky cleared. Earth exhaled. The fire did not destroy. It reminded, years later, a little. Girl walked into the same old library. Dust covered the shelves. The world had changed, but time still moved forward. She found a glowing book resting alone on a stone pedestal. She opened the first page. It began with a line. "They said Earth was broken. We told them a story." And so the fire returned again, not to burn, but to begin.